about configuration server and configuration clients or config server and config clients. So what is the meaning of config server? What is the meaning of config clients? We are trying to understand in yesterday's session. And what is the main purpose of config server? Why Spring Cloud or Spring Boot framework introduced a component called as config server as part of the as part of the microservices architecture. So what is the main agenda of config server? So what is the main agenda of config server? What is the purpose of config server? Externalizing or centralizing, externalizing and centralizing the microservices configuration. So configuration is nothing but properties and its values. That is what generally we will call it as a configuration, right? So centralizing and as well as externalizing. What is the meaning of externalizing here? Centralizing and externalizing, right? What is the meaning of centralizing? What is the meaning of externalizing? Centralizing means we are making everything at one place, right? So that is what GitHub repository. Fine. Externalizing means, you are not maintaining configuration as part of your microservice in the same source, in the same project itself. You are making that configuration is available again outside of the project, outside of the microservice, external to microservice. That means again, GitHub repository. So that means externally you are maintaining and at the same time, single place you are maintaining. That is what about the externalizing and centralizing the configuration data of microservices. So, okay, fine. And what are the rules? What are the things we have to take care when we are implementing the config server? What is going to happen with config server? We understood. Give me a second. I will open that one also. Yeah. So first thing is we understood the importance of config server. Even we saw yesterday practically how much time it is reducing and at the same time how much effort it is reducing with respect to development point of view as well as maintenance of the application. We understood yesterday. For example, whenever we have n number of microservices and those microservices are having common properties, nothing but common values, then instead of maintaining individual microservice level, what we are doing, we are making configuration with the config server so that our microservices are going to be connected to config server. And then config server will produce or config server will give the required properties what we configured as part of the config server level to the respective microservice. So what is that advantage here? It is you are making single copy. You are making a single copy in one place, in a central place, in a GitHub repository level. And those details you are exchanging or you are using from the microservices. In future, if there is a change in between any properties, so that if you are making change at one place, it is impacting in the all other microservices or not. If you don't have config server, then what is the problem? If you don't have config server, then again, it will increase a lot of efforts. It will increase a lot of duplication. So what is the meaning of duplication? For example, assume 50 microservices. 50 microservices level you given same URL, same username, same password of the database. 3 properties. Okay, then same 3 you are repeating in 50 microservices, 50 times, 50 places. So it's a kind of duplication or not, right? So code redundancy or configuration redundancy. Second thing is the maintenance of the application, the maintenance of the data. For example, password is changed. How many places we have to modify? 50 places we have to modify. If you have config server, it's a centralized one. So I will change at one place, automatically it will reflect it to wherever any microservice is using config server and that property from there, automatically every microservice will get the latest value. So those are all advantages of the config server. That's why they given name itself as a config server, configuration server. Config is nothing but always only properties and its values. Okay. So for example, yes, yesterday, and one more thing we discussed already very clearly, config server is it's not like something directly we are going to keep property inside the config server. But config server also internally taking 2 kinds of approaches. How to manage those properties files, right? So application.properties or all these are all coming under configuration files, right? So can we give our own file names? Can we give our own file names as part of file system or GitHub repository level? No, we cannot give. By default, we cannot give. So Spring Boot by default looks for which file? Application.properties. It's a common properties file across all microservices. We can say like it is a default properties file, common properties file, global properties file, whatever we can say. But file name should be always application.properties because Spring Boot is always looking for internally they written logic like that. They are always looking for a file name called as application.properties. Then only they will load that properties into JVM memory and they will start reading data from that properties. Okay, if you given any other file name, I'm looking for application.properties, but you given different file name. How do I know that? So that's why you have to make sure always application.properties. That is one thing. But we discussed one more use case yesterday. Okay, whatever we are keeping in the application.properties, it is a global or central place or central, okay, common properties file, all microservices. But if I want to make sure couple of properties or maybe some property values are different from other microservices, then where I have to do that? I mean, then what are the approaches we have? First thing is you can define properties inside the microservice specific properties file level. That is one solution. Apart from that, one more solution, as part of the config server, if you want to externalize the configuration and centralize the configuration of all microservices in single place, then what microservices is suggesting? Then what config server is suggesting? If you are keeping your property file inside, I mean, if you are making changes inside this application.properties, okay, this is belongs to the user microservice. But what is the drawback of making changes here? It will work if you make any private property here. For example, yesterday we saw that whatever you added inside this application.properties belongs to user microservice. These properties going to be affected to any other microservice? No, only belongs to user microservice. That is what use case we are taking. But what is the difference of adding property here? What is the drawback of adding property here? It is satisfying our use case. I want a private property. The value is different or maybe whatever the new property only for that microservice I want. Then if I am adding it here, it will take priority to always application.properties. If it is available, it will take from here. But what are the drawback? We can say, why can't we add here it is? In case if you want, you can add it. But the recommendation of config server is what? Centralizing and externalizing configuration. If you are making your own properties inside this project number one, and if you go to the payment service, tomorrow you added a couple of private properties belongs to payment service, then where you will add? In one more application.properties fine. So you are making properties changes with respect to project level, with respect to service level. Are you achieving a concept called as externalizing? You are moving your configuration out of the microservice? No, you are making inside the microservice. Okay, point number one. Point number two, are you making centralizing the configuration? Where you are making centralizing? Couple of data is available in one microservice, couple of other properties available in another microservice. Tomorrow, if I want to make a change in couple of microservices with respect to private properties, then what I have to do? First, I have to go to user microservice, open the application.properties. Then I will go to the payment. I will open the application.properties. So instead of that, config server is recommending us. So if you want to externalize and as well as centralize the configuration, that too the data should be private to the or specific to the microservices. What is the approach config server is suggesting us? Creating a property file with service ID. Yes, with microservice name or service ID, you can create a properties file with service ID. So that is what we did yesterday, right? Yeah, here. So now what we did here, in this case, we created along with application.properties, we created a couple of other properties, user-service, order-service. This user-service, order-service is what? These are all service names. Now, whatever the properties you defined inside the user-service, any microservice can access. Config server will allow to access any other microservices to get properties from this. No. Which microservice will be allowed in this case? Only user microservice. When you started user microservice, then if it is having any properties, it will try to take data from here as well as here. Why it is trying to take from here? Because it's a default, it's a common one. Application.properties is a common to everyone. I can access from everywhere. Okay, I mean any microservice can access application.properties. But when it comes to these property files, only that specific microservice. Okay, fine. Now, whenever we discussed already, if a property available ABC123, ABC111 inside application.property and specific to microservice, priority is always definitely specific one, private one only, right? So that is what. So this is how the config server is making the configuration of microservices data is centralizing and externalizing in single place. So now tell me, definitely config server is making lot of impact with respect to microservices architecture or not? Before config server or after config server, what you felt, what you're feeling? Tell me now. I mean, what is the development point of view as well as maintenance of the application? See, development you will do only for 1 or 2 years, but project maintenance will happen for lifelong, 30 years, 40 years. Sometimes there are applications running from last 25 years also. Last 20, 25 years also. That's not. So people will always worry about maintenance of the application. It's not about what you did from what you are doing for this 1 year. It's all about what you are going to do upcoming years also. That is how the people will think about maintenance also. So this is how you are making centralizing and as well as externalizing the configuration. So yesterday we taken all the use cases. For example, I added one property in the payment-service and we started a order service. Then we got something like property not found. Okay, these are all use cases we taken yesterday. Okay, what I'm going to give you a few other use cases here. It is you have to try all these guys. It's a very simple one. Only thing is your concentration on here, where you have to keep properties, what time, based on the requirement you have to take that. For example, I'll give you one use case now. Yeah, profiles point of view, I'll take now that use case. Okay, yesterday we taken this use case. If for example, a property value is different from other microservices, then what you will do? Define that property, same property with a different value, new value inside application.properties of that microservice, or as per the latest solution, if you created a new property file with that microservice ID, you can keep that property there. So generally then, better we can say like you can define that property inside the specific properties file what you created. If you are keeping there, then it will pick up that value or your value, specific value. It will always give priority to the specific value. Okay, fine. So same thing here also. How to maintain a property accessed by specific to only that microservice. For example, that's what we discussed. A property is, I'm creating a new property now, and it is only related to user microservice. Then if I keep that inside the application-properties, what? If we can keep it, but what is the problem? Your user service need a property mandatorily and you kept inside the application.properties. It's a common one. We can keep it. No, there is no rule. Okay, we can keep it. But what is the problem? Your user microservice will also work. But what is the problem? Tomorrow, other microservices can also, other microservices are also loading your property into their memory. So will you do that? Unnecessarily, why we have to load that property into other microservices? When you started other microservice, it will go to the config server. Config server will give all the properties available inside the application.properties to your microservice. Unnecessarily, you are getting what you really not required, right? So that is what the problem here it is. That's why if I made a user-service.properties file, and if I kept that my property inside my properties file, instead of application.properties, when I started user service, what will happen? I will take my property from my file. And when you started your own microservices, you are not at all accessing my property and you are not at all loading into your memory unnecessarily. What really required, you are loading from the application.properties as well as your own property file. Like that, every microservice level, we can maintain this kind of, integrity or transparency point of view. So that is how these are all designed by the whom guys. Whatever the points we are discussing, these are all things are taken care or internally validation by which concept? Config server. So if you give a wrong microservice ID, when you are creating the file name, try to start, it will say like, so and so required properties are missing. That means it's not loading data from these properties, it is loading from the application.properties. There couple of properties are missing because you kept couple of properties only inside your private properties file. You given wrong file name, so it's not identifying. Then your microservice is going to fail. Fail means it will not start. That is what the meaning of it is. Okay, fine. As of now, we discussed only with respect to common default scenario point of view. What about the profiles? So generally, You know very well about the profiles. When we discussed about last class, 2 classes I discussed. When you will go for the profiles, what is the concept? Why Spring Boot is introduced? A concept called as profiles. Application environment is fine. For example, assume this is an interview question, and then how we are going to answer. What is Spring Boot profile? Can you explain me why Spring Boot profiles is introduced in? I mean, why what we can achieve with the Spring Boot profiles? What you will say then? Assume this is an interview question. What is Spring Boot profile? Can you explain me what it will do? If you say like one word, 2 words, that is the interview answer. That is the answer expected. You have to speak at least 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so then what? Out of 10 interviews, probably this will be asked in 5 interviews. I know that much important it is. Okay, what about the profiles? Means we discussed already very clearly, and I told you how a real-time project will run in a software company or in any organization point of view, right? So simply profiles is a concept of, okay, making configuration specific to environments, making application configuration. I can say like application configuration by using profiles. What we are doing, we are making a application we are making the application configuration specific to environments or not, right? That is what the advantage of profiles. For example, dev I have, UAT I have, prod I have, something like that. So dev level host name is aws-dev.com. Assume one of the DB URL something. I shown you these things in my project also. So assume aws-uat.com, aws-prod.com. Then how will you manage all these things? So when you are deploying your application on the dev environment, this data has to be taken. In profiles, what you did at that time? In profiles, for that what we did? What is the solution? Step number 1, what you have to do? To achieve this kind of requirement by using profiles, step number 1, what you will do? Can I define spring.datasource.url duplicate property, same property inside the application properties 3 times? Can we make sure that duplicate properties can we add? No, right? Then what you are doing in the profiles? Hey, what you did in the profile, tell me at least high level point of view. Change the what? For that, what you did first? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. You have to create you have to create properties files specific to the environment or profile. Profile is nothing but environment. So you have to create what? Create properties files specific to profile or environment, whatever it is. Yeah, general environment we will call it as. Spring Boot point of view, they are calling it as profile. So what you have to do, create properties files specific to the environment. So how we are creating? You forgot that one also. Common file is what? First of all, default one. Then how will you create specific to profile one? I given the labels also, dev, UAT, prod. Online people, no one is responding. Hyphen dev. So that is what you are doing, right? So please guys, I don't know how much seriously you are taking all these things. You are not taking seriously and you are looking for the jobs. Okay, so what is these files now? Why we created this? These files are now representing environment or profiles, right? So now what you will do? Same property you will keep inside the dev. Similarly, property will be same, but value will be changes. యా హలో. తమ్ముడు నేను క్లాస్ లో ఉన్నాను, అయిపోగానే నేను నీకు కాల్ చేస్తాను, అదంతా రెడీ చేస్తాను నేను. ఓకే, క్లాస్ అయిపోయి నేనే కాల్ చేస్తాను. యా సారీ. Okay, so what you will do here, aws.prod. So then you will create always multiple properties files, right? Multiple properties files specific to profiles or specific to environment. Then what are the use cases? For example, if I have a property ABC equal to 123, here also ABC equal to, okay, 111. And if I started my profile like spring dot, what is that? At least can you tell me the property file? Spring dot profiles dot active. Then yesterday also I shown you this. What you have to give here? If you are not given anything, what will happen? It will always try to take data from the application or properties as a, what is that profile name? What is that profile name? Default only. So we saw the logs also, right? See here. What is this? Falling back to default profile. What is default? If you are not given anything, that application or properties is representing default. See, understanding concept is a different. Practically understanding is different. Okay, when I'm explaining here, I know that you are feeling like you understood everything very clearly. That okay. So because I'm making like that, but after 2 days, 3 days, it will not be. Then how will you remember same thing? Immediately what you understood in the class, you have to carry out the same legacy or same thing with respect to practice also. You have to make the practice, revise the things. So you are forgetting all these things. These are all we discussed very clearly. Okay, so I'll give dev now. Then what is the property value here now? What ABC will be loaded now? What is the ABC value now? What value will be injected? 123 or 111? Yes, 111. Okay, so this is all related to what? Profiles. With respect to one single Spring Boot application, with respect to one single microservice point of view, different profiles we are asking. We are taking here it is. Okay, then you will get ABC 111. Similarly, what is the DB value will be loaded? DB URL. In this case, what is the DB URL? This one will, right? So internally it will connect you to this host, aws-dev.com, something like that, right? So this is how we are making the profiles. Then what about the profiles with respect to microservices? Can anyone of you guess who are not referred the material? What we are going to do with respect to GitHub? Okay, so yesterday we created 2 files, application or properties. Okay, order-service. So let's do one thing. Let's finish it first and then I'll go back. So order-service is empty properties file we created yesterday. So from this, what we can remove? Can I remove this? If you remove this, then there is no identity, right? So then you don't have any name. Then how will you reach to config server and what name you will say to the config server? You got the point? You don't have any name. So then how will you say to the microservice, this is my name, give me data from my properties as well as common. Then that's why this is the unique ID. That's why I told you this ID will make more impact in the microservices architecture. This property is making everywhere. So the entire microservices architecture is 100% okay, going back or circling back with respect to this ID or not. Even service registry point of view, gateway point of view today. And next I'm going to take a concept called as fin clients. There also this ID is most important. Okay, fine. So this I will keep here only. Even though you are running 10 instances for one microservice, IDs are different. No, right? But ports will be different, right? So that is what. Can I move this one? Yes, you can. Can I move this one? Yes. Can I move this one? Yes. Can I move this one? No, because that is what producing the properties. So here only, finally I'm getting properties, all these properties from here only, right? So I can move these 3 to this centralized one or externalized properties file levels. Commit the changes. Similarly, I'll create one more properties file, payment-service. So here also I can move all these or not. Create new file. So please make sure spelling mistakes, all these things. Cross check once when you are created file names, all these things. Spelling mistakes, all these things. Okay, here I'll move not everything. I'll move this one. And I'll move this one also. Okay, total 3. Private one you have now. Now let's come back to the, how yesterday we already verified with respect to user-service. We removed from user-service, we added inside this properties file, external properties file, and we saw that it is loading properties from this file as well as application.properties. Even we verified with respect to a user-defined property also. Anyone tried all these use cases yesterday? Once you are going home? Okay, so please do that, guys. Until getting the job, at least remember all these things. After getting job, okay. Okay, fine. Now, with respect to profiles, we discussed. Now, profiles with microservices, what I have to do? For example, I want to start microservices in dev environment. All microservices, I have to start in the dev environment or I have to deploy in the dev environment. And dev environment, all microservices are using this database URL only. For UAT, they are using all microservices, this URL. For production, they are using this one. Then what you will do? If I created this inside the, for example, assume, now I created application.dev properties inside the GitHub. Okay, application-dev.properties inside the GitHub. What is going to happen? And you started user-service in the dev profile. By giving this property name, you started in the dev. Then what will happen, guys? It will take data from application-dev or not? Is it going to take from the dev or not? It will take. However, it is taking application.properties. Similarly, it is taking data from the application-dev. So for example, I'll make like this. Now you have to answer all these things. So these are all use cases you just try, okay, at home. Okay, so here assume I have 3 environments, dev, EAT, prod. Now, okay, assume I created this specific environment with different URL source names also. If I started user in the UAT profile, what is going to happen? Tell me now. The properties are loaded from which properties file? First priority is, priority wise, tell me, is it going to give priority to user-service or application.properties or application-UAT? Priority, okay, leave about this. Now in this case, when you discussed with respect to one application, if I define one property inside the common, inside the specific, priority is given to always specific. Now guess same point of view. I given profile is UAT. Then in which order priority will be given? Application hyphen UAT dot properties. Yes. Okay. And this will have highest priority. If you are having common properties, priority means application.dev properties, application hyphen UAT, as well as user hyphen service. If you have a common property, then the value is taken from application hyphen UAT. If you have only one property inside the, out of all these three, in only one place, one property you are having, it will verify. First UAT, not available. Then it will come back to, now it will come back to application or specific. Yes, user hyphen service. Okay. Why it is coming to here? Earlier it is giving priority to the profile. This time it's a non-profile one, default file. This is also a default profile one, right? So in such case, priority is given to this one. Now finally, priority is given to okay, fine. Okay, this is how things will happen. Now, one more use case here it is. For example, a microservice is having its own values or its own values specific to environment. Specific to environment. So that means assume application hyphen dev level, I have a property called as ABC123. And but in the user microservice point of view, user service point of view, by default, I don't want value ABC123. I want ABC value. Okay, that to user service dev level, I want ABC value always as a 111. And user service UAT level, I want this value as a 222. And user service prod level, I want a value as 333. Then what you will do? Sorry? Yes, exactly. So simple. Now, in this case, assume in this dev profile, what is the value? ABC equal to 123. Can I define something like ABC equal to 111 one more time? In the same property file, can I repeat property 2 times? No, we cannot, right? So that's why I have to keep 123 by default. All other microservices are using 123 only, but only user microservice is using value always as a 111. Then how can you achieve this scenario? So for example, if I keeping this property inside the user hyphen service dot properties, what will happen? It will try based on this. Okay, assume dev, right? Okay, I will take dev scenario also here. Okay, if you are running in the dev profile, priority given to the dev, then user service, then application or properties. Now, as part of dev properties, what is the value? As part of this, what is the value? ABC value 123. But okay, assume then what is the value, final value available inside the ABC? 123. But I want what? 111. Then how it will be done? So now in this case, config server is saying create profile specific properties or environment specific properties with respect to microservice ID also. Now only thing is you have to add hyphen dev microservice ID hyphen profile, microservice ID hyphen profile. Now in this file, I configured ABC equal to 111. Now in this case, what is going to happen? Tell me now. Okay, so now we added a new properties and I given ABC 111 here. Okay, so then what is going to happen with respect to user hyphen dev? Now tell me what is the priority? First profile is what you given? Profile, which profile you are running? Dev profile. Then it will verify any configuration file available with respect to specific microservice ID and specific profile. So this time we have or not? Yes, I have microservice specific profile file or not with respect to dev. Yes, then priority is given to this time this one. Now ABC value is available inside this as a ABC 111. So finally it will take value always from the ABC only. Now this will be ignored. So then what is the value? ABC 111. Now based on the UAT, your value should be 222 by default. Then what you will do? Create one more microservice specific profile one. So microservice ID hyphen profile name. So here I'll take UAT profile name, and then ABC value you defined as 222. And when you deployed your application, or when you are starting your application with spring.active.profile equal to UAT, then what is going to happen? It will take data always first priority given to the UAT, and then it will try to give application hyphen UAT, and then it will try to give the default one, and then it will try to give the default one of application.properties. So when nothing is there, application.property is the important one. When couple of specific one is there, profile specific, microservice specific, application.properties is becoming least priority, right? So now in this case, I'll internally data is getting loaded. Okay, from this file, what is the value? ABC value 322. Then I'm going to looking into these properties again. No, I will ignore. I found based on the priority, I found my value. For example, assume ABC 322 is missing here. Maybe assume you are not added. Then it will verify here. Available? No. Then it will come back here. Is it available? No. Then it will come back here. Is it available? Then it will come back here. Is it available? User hyphen service. You have or not? ABC 111. So then value will become 111. So if you want to specific, then maintain here. Then it will take directly from here on. You are understanding the scenarios? Are you going to practice all these things? Please practice. Only thing is you are not doing anything. Just create application hyphen dev.properties. See, if you remember profiles concept, then nothing is here. Check everything with respect to at least one microservice point of view. It's not like every microservice you have to create separate things and you have to do a lot of testing. Service hyphen dev.properties. Take a user defined property. Change the value from one common file level. For example, if you take an application.properties, you can take a value like this, something, or you can take your own name also. My.name equal to something like Dilip, and inject this value, my.name something. Okay. And define same value inside user hyphen service. Sorry, this is dev environment. Okay. Define Dilip hyphen dev to see which value is getting loaded. Dilip hyphen dev loading from specific microservice properties file. You can write down like this. Then if you are seeing this value being printed, then this value is priority given to the user hyphen service hyphen dev like that. I'm giving you all the ideas. It's all about your practice, your execution. Okay, I'll maintain same property in the specific one, not profile one. Here, Dilip hyphen common specific to microservice. Okay, I'll write down like this. Dilip common microservice properties file. Okay, that means the common one, generic one, like without, the default properties file. Yeah, now here, Dilip hyphen dev specific to microservice or common microservice, global microservice. This one. Application is always common. Application is always common, but specific to profile. Common specific microservice profile. Like that. For one property, you given different values. Give 1, 2, 3, 4 also, no problem. Then observe what value is injected. When you started in the default profile, what is injected? When you start now, if I started in the dev profile with respect to user microservice, the same property being available in how many places now? If I return a logic my.name is available in 4 properties files. One is application.properties, application-dev, user-service, user-service-dev. Now out of all these 4, when you start a default profile, I mean, on a regular basis, from where it is loading? Definitely it will not load from the dev. It will load only from the common one, application.properties or user-service. We know that it will load from user-service. Your testing is completed. Now, next point, start your application with dev profile. Spring.active.profile equal to dev. Okay, -d. I already discussed all these things. Go to the running notes. You will have all these things. Go to the configuration point of view. See here, you can configure from here also. So you configure port number right here. Similarly, you can give spring.active.profile property space from here also. Or you can give from here also -d. That what we discussed last time, spring.active.profile. Okay, if you are giving here, so then this specific instance, this one instance will be started in that profile only. You can try that. Okay, go to this, open config. From here, you can give -d, spring.active.profile equal to dev, something like that. Then this one instance will be started in the, always from the dev profile. Like that, you just make your efforts a lot. You will get a lot of understanding. So is it clear now with respect to profiles also? How microservices configuration server is running? How config server is giving priority? You just try all these things because we know profiles we understood. Only thing is execution is pending now. It will not take maximum. Okay, it will take only 2 hours to verify. One scenario, if you verified means same formula. If you verified for the dev profile, again you are going to verify for the UAT. No need, right? So it's a just label change. That's all. But functionality is same. From which file out of 4 which is loading? That is what the history now you have to check. Here value is available ABC, here available, here available, here available. When you started in the common profile, from where it is loading? When you started from the specific profile, from here it is loading, from here it is loading, like that. Remove from here, then verify. Is it loading from here or not? Or is it loading from here? Then make your own things, your own understanding. See, while I'm explaining here, you will understand very clearly. I know that we are making commonly this greater than, less than, all these things. Then you will realize it's very simple. But after a couple of days, you will forget. So for that, you have to practice. Okay, so this is all about the config server, guys. See the advantage of config server. Now you are making all the things at one place. Centralizing the configuration and externalizing the configuration. Like that, all the microservices configuration you will make sure available in the one common place. And all your microservices always connected to the config server. Config server will connect it to the GitHub repository. See here how many properties we reduced. We return only service ID and config server. Similarly, all other microservices properties file also following same approach. Only service ID, this one. Okay, let me start all our applications once. First, what you have to start now? Config server. And then service register you can start, and then gateway you can start. Gateway order is failing. Why? Some property problem. So it is saying like injection of properties failed. Bean with name. That means in order controller we are not written one property. Could not resolve JWT secret key. So this property is missing. I'll do. This is all. Somewhere if you are making mistake, property is not available in any place. In the hierarchy point of view, then you will get this kind of errors. Your application will not be started. So we are getting problem in the order -service because of controller and this property is missing. JWT-secret key. You have here common one? No. You have microservice specific one? No. That's why it is saying like it's not found in the specific, it's not found in the common. If you are added in the common or if you are added in the application or properties, it will work. See, when you are doing the practice, don't feel like forcefully you are doing practice on yourself. Try to enjoy the practice. Try to, feel happy when you are getting the errors and feel more happy when you are resolving those errors. That is how you have to make your own interest on the practice. Sometimes I'll do same thing. Okay, so I'll make myself happy with respect to practice so that I'll start the things. If I got any error, then I'll feel happy because that will give lot of knowledge. Error will give you lot of knowledge. Otherwise, see, for example, there are two people. He went there, he followed my notes, or he followed all the things, he remembered or he by-hearted, whatever it is. Sir told Dev, given. Finally, everything is working without any error. He will feel like proud himself, like he understood very well. Okay, fine, maybe. But a person started making the things and in between he got the errors. This kind of, now we got order controller bean object creation failed. The reason is so and so property is missing. The property you defined with @ value. So dependency injection is failed. So with that error, you will try to identify that error, you will fix that error. But in your case, you got lot of knowledge with respect to bean creation failing, with respect to @ value, what is happening, why bean creation is failed. If bean creation is failed, application will not start, right? So you are getting all these points and then you resolved it. And then somehow you got one more issue, you resolved it. And then finally you saw all this output. Then who is the correct person? Who got the more knowledge? Definitely the second person, because he got more errors. He spent lot of time. He is understanding. He fixed all the issues. So that's why there are lot of sayings with respect to programming point of view. Errors will make you, more confident. The errors will make you more knowledgeable person. Ever, don't think like your output should come in without zero errors. If you are feeling like that, if you are thinking like that, you will not get much subject. Okay. Practically, if you are making the things and if you are not getting any errors, no problem. Then that is a different story. But when you are in the learning stage, my point here it is, don't by heart. That is what I am trying to say here it is. With respect to by heart, Sir told this. Okay, let me keep. It should not be like that. You have to make sure your own, Sir told this, let me try without anything, referring anything. Let me fix on my own. Generally, I will not open notes. When I am learning Spring also, in same, I will Naresh, it's not Naresh, it is some other, but anyway, Amir Pet only. Same thing. I will take the notes. I never ever ask one doubt to any lecturer. So what I will do, I'll take the notes. I'll go to the home. I'll just refer the notes one more time. Running notes anyway it is. At that time, we don't have PDFs, all these things. Because at that time, we don't have mobiles, we don't have Google Drive, all these things. Right? So we used to take only running notes. So I'll refer the running notes. I'll throw it away and I'll start what I understood practically, what I remembered, everything I'll collaborate and I'll start making the practice. Whenever I got an error, I'll try to take that error. I'll try to understand that error. I'll take that error. I'll post it inside the Google search. Then Google search will give a lot of websites. The first website, what you will get? Stack Overflow. Yes, exactly. So the most important website, one point of time is Stack Overflow. Still, Stack Overflow is the powerful website to get a lot of solutions. For any error, you will get find out solution in the Stack Overflow. Even I can say like before ChatGPT, still I can say like Stack Overflow is more powerful than ChatGPT with respect to programmer point of view. With respect to our programming point of view. So then when I open Stack Overflow, what will happen? Are you finding only solution? Different types of thoughts, different types of solution, different senior people. They are sitting from US, UK, Australia, all these things. They are giving their views on that error, why it got, why it is failing, what you have to do, what you should not do. You will see a conversation. You will see a lot of findings there. You know, you can create a account in the Stack Overflow. You can mark couple of questions which are making very good knowledge or very meaningful discussion. You can make those questions as favorite in your account, so that going further in future you can refer those questions. You can learn the subject. So that means you can get subject in this way. It's not like going back to the book. If you are going back to the book, what you will have? What Dilip told, that will be there. If you are going to the Stack Overflow, it's not Dilip. It is more than Dilip. It's more than Dilip. So experts from different countries, they will discuss what is the problem under. So you are increasing. That is what my expectation to you. That is how you have to make the practice. Never ever open the book. I'm telling you, book is only for the purpose of making a small notes in the live class. Yeah, we need a running notes, a small highlight points, what you have to practice after going to the home, key point, 1-line statement, 2-line statements. Maybe that is enough. But once you are going to the home, opening the laptop, at one point of time, we used to get 1 GB memory with 400 rupees. Only memory when we are learning. Okay. But nowadays, you are getting per day 2 GB, right? So that's what. So you are getting a lot of things nowadays very easily, very accessible. Okay. Nowadays we have smartphones. We can search an error immediately in the phone itself. At one point of time, we don't have that opportunity. But still, I'm trying to say, don't open the books. When you got the error, fix it. How? Recollect your knowledge first. Try 5-10 minutes on your own. If it is not resolving, then what you have to do, open the material, or you have to go to the Google. Go to the Google, search it. Then you will open the multiple links. Okay, then you will identify the solutions. That is how you have to improve your practical knowledge, and in the way of searching something, you will find out something. I found so many points like that, guys. Okay, I'm trying to search for one solution. In the way of, okay, doing this analysis or solution finding, I found a lot of other valuable points. And those points I discussed in the interviews. I got, okay, those points helped me in the interview because those points are given by some experts. So when you open to the Stack Overflow, you will see a lot of questions. So as a developer, we should know these kind of things. Create a account in the Stack Overflow, all these things. You can create your own account. Okay, you can see all the questions. See what they are doing in Java 8 and all, what they are doing. So they are discussing. See like this, there are senior people will be there. There are a lot of experts will be there. They will discuss what is that problem, how to resolve it, what should not be done, what you have to do. These are all points will help you or increase your practical thinking, your practical knowledge. You will ask, right, sir, how can I improve my practical knowledge? So this is the way you have to improve. It's never ever refer. Okay. Materials every time, couple of minutes, couple of time, 10-15% are for the purpose of theory point of. For example, if I ask you what is Spring Boot profile, even those things also you will get from nowadays from the Google. But in case if you feel like I need to remember 2-3 theory points related to profile to answer an interview, first we have to make 1 or 2 sentences in a proper sentence format point of view. Profile is all about a concept dealing with the environment specific configuration, something like that. But after that, logic implementation point of view, it's all about make things on your own. Don't refer the material. If you are getting errors, try to dependent on the Google search. Don't dependent on the materials. Okay, like that. That is how you can improve your practical knowledge. That is how only you can get a lot of subject. If you are referring the material, you will have only that point, only that solution. Whatever I said, it's all completely by heart. Okay. So what if you are referring these kind of forums? Bean creation, something we got earlier. See, if for example, if you're seeing like this AutoWide, even tomorrow, when you are not able to resolve something, you can also ask a question here. Someone will reply to your question within minutes. You will get an answer for your question within 1 minute. Within minutes, I can say like not 1 minute. Within minutes, you will get a solution for your problem. Someone else will respond to you. You don't need to dependent on some other mentor, all these things. If you are trying to utilize free of cost, 1 rupee also you don't need to pay for Stack Overflow. I posted in my earlier days when I joined into job, few things I was not able to resolve, and I asked a couple of colleagues, they will say like they don't have idea. Then I went to the Stack Overflow, I created a question, this is what problem, this is what my problem, what I have to do, like that. I got response within 4 to 5 hours from someone else. Then I utilized at that point and I made something improvement on that and it is resolved. So this is how you have to make the things in reality. So now same kind of people saying like I did all these things in the spring. This is all spring. So still he was giving all the code and he was discussing about the points. Here this will make which is the correct answer. Okay. So here 4 answers, everything is having 0, 0. That means sometimes few people will not ask question properly. Okay. They will confuse the persons. That's why you will see this -1 votes. This is all J in it. So you have to make sure proper question, proper answer. Then only people will respond. Otherwise, they will not get response. It's not like everyone will do that. So this is how they will give the answers. What it is saying, what you have to do. And they will discuss all the points like this. Okay. So please make sure this is how getting the knowledge. Whenever you are getting any problem, it's not like refer the material, but don't depend 100% on the material. Material is all the purpose of for a tracking. It's all about which concept you completed, and it's all about some couple of theory points point of view like that. Okay. So, but you know, my 6 years back, first time I entered into Spring Boot microservices architecture project. By the time I don't know Spring Boot, I know very little bit about Spring only, but even I don't know Spring Boot. It was part of Accenture only. I entered into a project microservices related. Once I joined into the project, they given me a task. By the time, they given me a task related to microservices, and the task is what is config server. In my life, first time when I entered into microservices architecture, when I don't know anything about Spring Boot and microservices, okay, they hired me as I know only Spring like that, they hired. And they deployed me into microservices architecture project. And once I joined, so the lead told me like, we have to implement a config server. So create a config server and show me once make the analysis, create the config server and show me the solution. Then we will integrate that into actual project level. So then by the time I don't know anything about microservices, it took 2 weeks to complete that task. Whatever we discussed yesterday and today, to achieve the same half an hour or 1 hour task, for me at that time it took 2 weeks. Why? First of all, I don't know Spring Boot properly. I don't know microservices architecture. What is config server also I don't know. What is service registry also I don't know. What is gateway also. So then I started making analysis. After 2 weeks, I made config server is up and running, and I've been able to fetch properties from microservice. From the config server to microservice. Then it is working. Then I shown to so and so person. Yes, it is. This is what I implemented. It is accepted. So that is how things will happen. It's not like within the minutes. Sometimes you will get everything. It took me for 2 weeks, not even 2 days. 2 weeks. And once I came to home also, I will try to do sometime on my personal laptop. How I can create the config server? What is the story behind the config server? Like that. Okay. So that's why whenever I listening about the config server, that is what my first task in microservices 6 years back. So that is what I created first time in my life with respect to microservices architecture. Okay. So things will be like that. So don't worry. Make sure things always related to the practical only, and enhance your skills by going through the Google search, utilize the internet. Okay. So utilize this kind of Stack Overflow forums, all these things. This is all will give you the practical knowledge than training. I'm telling you, I given you only what? An idea at the same time, couple of subject in a tracking. Step number 1, step number 2, like that we are discussing from last 4 months. What is important, in which order you have to follow. That is what happened in the training. But beyond that, if you want to get, it's all your self-interest, and make sure practicing the things with your own use cases. Think, if I made negatively, if I remove this, what will happen? Remove it. Start your application. See what error you are getting. Understand that error. Okay. Then it will give you the subject. That is how you have to make sure the practical knowledge. Other than that, no one will help you. Dilip sir will not help you. Your cousins will not help you. No one will help you. No friends will help you. Maybe they can help you up to one level. But more than beyond that, if you want to get the knowledge, there are a lot of resources available nowadays. No need to dependent on your friend. No need to dependent on Dilip sir also. I'm telling like that. Okay. There is internet. There is a Google search. Nowadays for you, this is also came. Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. Okay, so these are all you can utilize to get the practical things, to get the practical knowledge, all these things. See, learning is two things. Learning is always two ways. One is what it is, successful way. You are all, don't look always for the zero errors. That is what people will try to achieve. That is what people will always think like, let me write a program, I should not get any errors. No, it's not. My point of view, how I will write down is, let me write down what I know and let me execute it. Then what are the errors I'm getting? Let me fix one by one. This is how I will practice. What I will do, for example, if you given me subject, find out a number is a, okay, prime number or not, a string is a anagram or not, something like that. What I will do, for example, I don't know the logic. I will know what is anagram. Okay, if you are reversing all these things, it should be said. Then I will make some logic in my mind. I will write down first. I will write down first. Whether it is for loop is wrong or if condition is wrong or whatever it is, without compiled errors, first I will write down some blind logic. It will not give proper result. It will not say like, even though if I give an anagram string, it will select true or false. Even though it is true, but it will print the false. Or I will get some array index out of bounds exception or something like that. Then I will see why that error came. I will fix it. I will fix it. I will fix it. Such a way I will write down. It's not like that I will go, what is anagram? What is the logic for anagram? Let me verify in the Google, find out the solution. Okay, read that solution. Then make the practice. Then I will, what you are doing, you are just making a copy what you referred in the Google and then you are pasting in the your editor. That's not the practice. You just go, what you know, write 1 or 2 lines, execute it, you will get the errors, resolve it by going to the Google. Don't look directly straightforward solution. What is the error you got? Take that error, print it in the Google. I mean, add in the Google, search in the Google. Resolve that error and go to the next error. Resolve that. Such a way you have to reach the solution. It's not like directly refer the, don't reach directly to the solution. Okay, reading that, by hearting that, and that you are writing inside your editor. That is not the correct process. Okay, try to look for errors. Feel happy for errors. If you are getting 10 errors means you are getting 10 points. If your friend is not getting 0 errors means he is not getting a lot of subject. Somehow he is managing with his okay, by hearting process. Okay, sometimes once you get the practical knowledge, you will not get any errors. For example, if you are asking me writing a REST services with respect to code operations, 0 errors I can write down. Because it's all about the confidence. And I know that if you are asking me from controller to repository, repository controller, service to repository, from which layer to which layer, if you are asking me, I will write down 0 errors. But if I ask you same thing, one person will write down. If I ask him, can you start from the JPA point of view? Don't write controller, go in the reverse, then he will not write. Because he know the pattern in a way like controller, service, repository. Then only he can write down the program with 0 errors. But if I asked him, don't write controller first, go in the reverse manner. Write down the repository, from there create the entity class, from there service, from there controller. Like that if I am asking, then he will get the confusion. Because he made the somehow earlier 0 errors. He got the output. But its only thing is, he was somehow make a structure like, this is how success path happen. But when you made the things with respect to errors, exceptions, all these things point of view, even though if you are taking some extra time, when you started from the reverse manner, you will achieve it. Because you know that how to fix your errors, how to connect all the components on your own. Because you know the practical things, you know how to resolve errors, all these things. Okay. So please take care of this way of training, this way of practice. Then definitely you will see the impact. Okay. Definitely will see the impact other than going through the notes, materials, all these things. Reduce the usage of material and notes. That is what I'm trying to say. Try to utilize the online forums. Try to utilize the online forums and try to get the things what you know. First, keep it that in the editor. Execute it. If you got the errors, take that error, go to the Google, identify that error, why it got, fix that error, then write down next line, then again, fix it, then you have to get the output. This is the way, wherever you will go, this is the way if you are following, you will get the knowledge. Okay, and this will help you not only getting the knowledge, the same process will help you tomorrow once you join into any company, when you are working for any real-time project also, they will give you a task. They will not explain all the coding point of view. They will give you a task like, for example, they will tell you like, create a REST service. Okay, we have to create a REST service for the purpose of changing the order status. Changing the order status. That's what they will say. What they are saying, create a REST service. This is what requirement I given to you. Assume like that. Hey, create a REST service That REST service functionality is changing the order status. This is what I'll give you. And I'll say like, I'll give you two input values, order ID and the new order status. Then what you will do? This is what I will tell you. I'll give you order number and as well as order status as an input. You have to create a REST service. Then what you have to do? What? Tell me your approach then. You have the requirement is updating the order status. I'll give you two values. You will always receive two values. Order number, for which order number you are changing the status, and what is the new status. Then what is your approach? Yeah, path variables fine. Okay, because it's a public information. What is the REST service type you are taking? I mean, what is the HTTP method? Put, right? Put is why? Update operation. That is all. Okay. The requirement is saying updating the change status. That means you are not creating any new record. Updating the existing. Okay, put method. Then how many input values you are getting? Two input values. Order number as well as order status. Assume it is public information. Okay, you are changing from order created to in transit. That means in the transport or delivered or written, something like that. So public information. So you can take two path variables. For example, I told you, you will get more than 10 properties. You have to update based on the 10 properties. You have to update. Then put you will take, but you will take path variables. What you will take? You will take request body. But can we take a path variable also? I told you already. What you will define at the path variable? Resource identifier. For which product, for which order ID you are making the update, that the updated data is available in the request body, but that identifier is always defined in the URI level, path variable level you have to take. So that means you have to take one path variable. That path variable should be which value? Order ID, resource identifier. That means the primary key value for which order you are making the change. And the request body will contain what data you are going to be changed, which data is going to be changed. That you will maintain as part of the request body. Like that, you have to implement your own solution. You cannot say, sir, can you tell me what I have to do? This is how I will take. I will say like, write a REST service for updating the order details. I'll give you order ID and couple of 6 to 7 properties. This is what I will tell you. I will not say like, you have to take path variable. This is all your responsibility. By the time you should know that. Okay, this is how, if you are going same kind of approach, like using the Google, all these things, Stack Overflow, by the time you will realize, because a lot of experts will discuss same kind of points. Why are you, if you making request body, order ID also as part of request body, and if you make a post in the Stack Overflow and I'm getting this issue, this is what my requirement, then immediately someone else will say, your logic may be work, but why are you keeping order ID in the request body? Why don't you keep in the path variable? Because you are not following the proper guidelines. Okay, then someone else's suggested is go through the guidelines. Then it is a better solution. So then what is the point you understood? Okay, next time onwards, you will make resource identifier, primary key value as a path variable, and respective body, you will take it as a POJO class, a request body annotation, all these things you will take it. That is how you have to improve your knowledge. Okay. So this is all about the config server. Please practice all these scenarios. Yeah, request body 2 inputs, fine. Okay. So we'll